the Jewish Federation of Greater Pittsburgh, the United Jewish Federation, the Federation of Jewish Philanthropies. We've had several names, but at the core, just one mission: to build lives, community, a Jewish future for our children and grandchildren. Our story begins in 1912, actually before, when a smattering of Jewish immigrants made their way to Pittsburgh, worked hard and succeeded. They created the framework for an organized Jewish community, weaving the fabric of Jewish life into a growing American city. With life in Europe ever more precarious for Jews, other immigrants followed. They arrived penniless, unable to speak or read English, some in ill health. But those who had come before rallied to help, creating programs and agencies to aid the newcomers. The patterns had been established, but Jewish leaders soon realized that the burgeoning community and its critical needs required a comprehensive approach to providing services. So, in 1912, those leaders created the Federation of Jewish Philanthropies, FJP. Under its first leader, FJP merged 5 family welfare programs into what is today's Jewish Family and Children's Service. In the following years, with a new leader at the helm, our community swelled, and services and fundraising grew in proportion. At the close of the 1920s, turmoil took hold across the nation, with the stock market crash and the Great Depression. The Federation, under a new leader, stayed true to its mission of offering help to those in great need. The following year, a dark cloud descended over Europe with the rise of Adolf Hitler. As events in Europe grew more ominous, Jewish leaders saw the urgency of helping our European brothers and sisters. Thus, the United Jewish Fund was created, its mission to raise funds to rescue European Jews from Nazi Germany, while FJP continued to help local Jews fight their way back from financial ruin. With the end of World War II, we saw the enormity of the destruction. 6 million Jews and countless Jewish communities gone. Many who survived had no family left, no home to return to. They needed to start over, and they chose to do so in Palestine. The United Jewish Fund worked to ensure that money would be in hand to help establish and build a Jewish homeland, while FJP focused on local needs that were changing due to the post-war baby boom. By the mid-1950s, the baby boomers were starting to school, and our city got its first 2 Jewish day schools, Hillel Academy and Yeshiva schools. Families were also registering their children for Jewish preschools, Jewish summer camp, and more. Israel was growing stronger, and our local community was thriving. Pittsburgh's Jewish leaders determined that it would benefit the community to streamline our efforts. And in 1955, the Federation of Jewish Philanthropies and the United Jewish Fund were consolidated into the United Jewish Federation of Pittsburgh, the UJF. The 60s was a decade of social unrest and change. Dedicated to the Jewish values of liberty and equality, the UJF established the Community Relations Council to advocate for justice for all. It was also during this decade that we addressed a growing community need: affordable housing for Jewish seniors on fixed incomes. And in 1965, Riverview Towers opened its doors. By the 1970s, the terrible oppression of Soviet Jews had come to light. Openly persecuted and denied the right to worship freely or emigrate, our Soviet brothers and sisters needed our help. We kicked off a special fundraising effort, Exodus, the campaign to rescue and resettle Soviet Jews, and we raised $14.5 million to rescue Soviet Jews and help them start new lives. By 1980, our community was larger than ever and more diverse. Our agencies were strong, but major changes were needed to keep us that way. In 1984, UJF undertook a comprehensive study of our Jewish community. We learned of new community needs and old community facilities that were deteriorating. We embarked on the Renaissance campaign, which ultimately raised more than $50 million for capital improvements to Jewish community facilities. The 90s were marked by building and renovation. The Jewish Education Institute was launched to offer Jewish and Israel-related learning opportunities and to be a home for community day school. The Jewish Association on Aging opened its doors to provide assisted living, nursing care, and outpatient services. The Jewish Community Center opened its beautiful new Robinson building. And Jewish Residential Services gave us group homes and supportive programming for adults with special needs. At the start of the new millennium, our attention turned to Israel as hundreds of innocent civilians fell victim to suicide bombers. We sought innovative ways to help, and our efforts drove the creation of a fund for victims of terror established by our national organization. And as we had so many times before as a people, we celebrated even in the midst of sorrow when, during that same period, Hillel on campus opened its beautiful new Joseph Stern building, the home of the Edward and Rose Berman Hillel Jewish University Center. Meanwhile, plans were finalized for the creation of the Agency for Jewish Learning to oversee community-wide Jewish events and serve as a resource for Jewish educational institutions. Strong agencies, strong programs, but research showed that far too many Pittsburgh Jews were not connecting to the Jewish community. So the UJF made outreach an organizational priority, creating dynamic new programs for Jewish individuals and families. Toward the end of the decade, our nation was facing an economic crisis that meant widespread job loss and financial stress for many families. Once again, Pittsburgh Jews rose to the occasion, making our community one of very few across North America that didn't see a significant drop in its annual campaign. During this period, we also strengthened two important community resources. The Holocaust Center charted new directions for sustaining its impact in light of the dwindling survivor community. And with UJF's help, the Jewish Chronicle developed a strategic plan and initiated a quarterly lifestyle magazine. In 2010, UJF was rebranded as the Jewish Federation of Greater Pittsburgh. And a new visionary effort to ensure a strong and vibrant Pittsburgh Jewish community for the future was officially launched by the Federation's Jewish Community Foundation. In anticipation of our 100th year, it was named the Centennial Fund for a Jewish Future, CFJF.
I believe that we face a true existential crisis. I think we are in the process of disappearing as a people. I think if we want to maintain a good, broad Jewish community, we have to wake up. We have to see that we have to do things differently than we have in the past. We have to figure out what those things are, and then we have to go out and try them and do them. The fund is set up so that we will have the resources to do that.
With its mission to raise and allocate funds to ensure that the next generation of Jews will be knowledgeable, inspired, and ready to lead us forward, CFJF has raised in excess of $17 million and already has made a tremendous impact in our community. This year, with Louis Plung at the helm, the Jewish Federation marks its centennial, 100 years of serving those in need, of anticipating challenges and facing them head-on. With 100 years of achievement behind us, we celebrate the patterns and colors of our diversity. With a legacy of caring as our inspiration, we work to sustain a community committed to the well-being of its members and our city and region for the next 100 years and beyond.